and welcome to another edition of the Women's Basketball Talk Show. I'm Assistant Coach Brandon Bias. Today, I'm joined as always by Head Coach David Smalley, and we'll also have Assistant Women's Basketball Coach Brooke Markham join us today. Welcome.
Good to be here, Coach. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing that we are at this stage of the season. We have 4 regular season games left. We've played 26, and then, you know, it's a week from today. This season ends, and it's been a great ride, but we got a lot of riding yet to do, and we're pretty excited about going forward here from this point on.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get all 30 games in, which is very rare in the climate that we're in currently. We stand with a record of 24-2. We're going to review our last 3 games and then look forward to our game today that we have later this evening, and then our game that we will be traveling to Pittsburgh on Saturday. So just want to go into the IU East game. IU East, when we played them, currently was the number 2 team. They're still the number 2 team on the East Division with us in our division. You know, kind of give us a little reflection back on the IU East.
Well, first of all, I thought our game up there earlier in the year was a tremendous game, and what we did when they played down here just recently, that was even more build up and more of an exciting game than the first one. IU East is a great basketball team and a great program, and Coach Tiffany Selhorst does a good job. She's very focused, very planned, and they knew us inside and out, and we knew them inside and out. But that was one of the better games. If you're a fan of basketball, and I think women's basketball is really focused right now on the X's and O's and just how things kind of materialize within the framework of a game. That had to be a great game to watch, and we had a great crowd, and which we have had all year at home, and actually on the road. Our fans do a great job of traveling with us on the road. But that was to me one of the premier games that I will always remember. And then the fact that we came out on top, and we struggled a little bit throughout because they are a very a unique team, and they come at you with a lot of athleticism, and we found ourselves down, I think maybe 4 or 5 at halftime, and had a great fourth quarter or a third quarter where we won by 6 points. And then the fourth quarter, we scored in the 20s every quarter, and 27 in that last quarter. And some highlights of that game, and there were several highlights. I'm going to start off with Haley Jordan. She had a tremendous game of 27 points and 12 rebounds. And Haley has been able to give us that consistency throughout, and just does a tremendous job of shooting from the field a high percentage, because a lot of her shots are right in the paint, but she's also starting to get a little mid-range jumper, 10, 12 feet out, which is helping the game out as well. So 27 points and 12 rebounds. And then Ella Skeens, the 40-point plateau doesn't come along very often. As a matter of fact, if it comes along once or twice in a year on any given team, that's pretty exciting there. She ended up with 40 points and 11 rebounds. And I like to use the term, she was in fuego. She was just focused. She was shooting the ball extremely well. She was getting up and down the floor and distributing the ball. And then we had some other people that, did some nice things as far as, from the field. Kaylee Darnell with 5 assists. And it was a great game, and it was, to me, a signature game that really kind of implemented where we are and who we are at this particular point. So tremendous game. We ended up winning 96-88, and had to be game of the week, game in the entire nation, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think you forgot someone. China Chambers had 11 assists that game, which is, that's
correct.
That's awesome. That's great. And you have Ella and Haley who does this stuff, but they do it every day. But that night, when you play up against a good team and you can score 40 points and get 14 rebounds and 27 points and 11 rebounds or 13 rebounds, that's saying they're putting some work in. They did a great job. As a team, it was a great win.
It certainly was, and key factors for me on that game was, we were able to out-rebound them 55-29. Again, Ella's 14 rebounds and Haley's 13 rebounds, along with their point production, was really key for us. We also had Aaliyah Kreitz, who had 8 rebounds, and then little old China comes in there with 6 rebounds. She's very active on the rebounding. She's one of our better people that does box outs on our team.
Yep.
So, those were very crucial to us. We hang our hat on out rebounding people and our hard work ethic. So that kind of played into the victory against IU East. So we're going to turn to the West Virginia Tech game, and some of those keys I just said didn't happen, and that's the reason that we suffered our second loss. So we're going to look at the West Virginia Tech game. We've never won down at the Armory. The 3 years that they've been playing in the Armory. It was a game that we wanted, so we went down there. I thought we were focused. I thought we could play to beat them, but man, did they come out and play a heck of a game. I mean, what people don't understand is they just look at West Virginia Tech's record. They don't understand they played a heck of a schedule. Mm-hmm. I mean, they inherited a schedule from the former coach, that had them playing Campbellsville, different top 25 teams to come in through there. They still have the makeup of the team with the people that won 2 conference championships. Mm-hmm. So, they had them all there. You have Ball, you have the Justice Sisters. Those 3 have played a part in those championships for the previous 2 years. They also ended our season, or they ended our conference championship hopes in the conference championship last year at the Armory. So we went in there, we wanted the victory. Why didn't we get the victory?
Well, we'll talk about that. And, sometimes you eat the bear, and sometimes the bear eats you. And the bear's got us down there. And, again, it's not so much what maybe our play. We scored 95 points. My dad would say if he was still with us, boy, you scored 95, you ought to win a basketball game. They played the top. They played their best. Their shooting percentage, they were 10 of 20 from the three-point line, as if I recall correctly. Yep. And it wasn't that they were just standstill, wide-open threes. The Justice sisters kept just taking steps back, and they were shooting 25, 26-footers. And they had players come off the bench that normally didn't hit threes that hit threes. So they were just focused, and they earned that right to get that W. We just didn't match and meet up with the expectations when we needed to. As a matter of fact, we got down 19 points early in the first half, and then I believe cut it to 1, and then in the second half we got down 19 again and cut it. When we got to 81-80, we were behind. I thought we were there. Thought we were there in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, and then we just couldn't put anything together. Couldn't get some scores when we needed to get some scores, and then playing at the Armory. I don't know if it's just a mental thing. It's a different type of facility. No excuses. No excuses. A good game that we end up losing. We got out rebounded, and that's just something that's not normal for this program. I thought West Virginia Tech had a little more energy. They got more 50-50 balls, what we call 50-50 balls. They just had a little more energy in getting to loose balls and things of that nature. So we struggled, but we showed some grit. We showed some ability to come back. I mean, being down 19 points, you could almost just shut the door. A lot of teams would just go ahead and crawl in a hole and it'd be over with. But we came back not once but twice. So I'm proud of the players for being able to do that, and the coaching staff for hanging in there. And it just wasn't meant to be in that particular situation.
Yeah. So, Coach, you had alluded to the fact that we were down 19 2 separate times, maybe even 3 separate times within the game, and we were able to cut that deficit to 3-4 points and even 1 point in the fourth quarter. So, Coach Markham, having a team that can score at that pace to cut a deficit to 1 when you're down 20, how dangerous does that make our team going forward?
We're pretty dangerous, I tell you that. I mean, the good thing is about our team, we was down, I believe, first quarter, I believe we only scored 6 points, going all the way up with 1 minute and maybe 12 seconds. We ended up finishing that quarter with 21 points. We had 6 or 8 points and we scored 21 points that quarter. So within a minute, I mean, we can score when we want to score. And that's so dangerous. And, we just got to keep plugging along. That loss, yeah, it was nasty loss. I hate a loss, but in the end, I think it made us look on who we are truly by not giving up, by being down by so many right at the beginning and then towards the end, and we just pulled it back. But it just wasn't meant to be that night.
And a few other statistical categories in this game, which kind of blows you away when you listen to this. We won the free throw battle. We scored 26 free throws to their 21. We only had 9 turnovers to their 22. Then we had 11 steals to their 5. And you start looking at those statistical categories, you're thinking, well, you got a pretty good, you probably won a game. And you scored 95 points, you probably won a basketball game. But what we didn't do was the rebounding battle. Again, they out-rebounded us 51-36, and that hurts. That hurts right here. That hurts in the heart part. And then the fact that they just shot a blistering 54% from the field, they shot blistering 50% from the three-point line. And again, bottom line is, the team that scores more points going to win the game. But we did a great job in some of the other statistical categories. Proud of them.
So with that, we've always hung our hat on the fact that our bench has been really big, and they've done this and they've done that. One person I really want to talk about that, maybe hasn't played as much as she's played in the past with us, or her role hasn't been as big as it's been in the past, but Reagan Willingham, as a shooter, believe it or not, I consider myself as a former shooter. Whenever you don't get a large amount of minutes for several games, sometimes you get out of loop and you can't go in and seize that moment. But we needed somebody to come in and hit shots, and we looked no further than Reagan Willingham. Can you kind of tell us what she did for us?
Well, Reagan Willingham is like the microwave in the old days, the Vinnie Johnsons of the world, who was a great NBA player, and he could heat up, and she's that way. And she comes in, she hits that first shot, and then she actually hit 2 like back-to-back early, and then just did a tremendous job. And she's capable of doing that night in, night out. Good hard worker, comes every day to practice, has learned what her role is, and then we're excited about the direction of that role at a very, very crucial time going from this point on. And we have a lot of confidence in going to her in situations, but if it wasn't for Miss Reagan Willingham, we could have had our feelings hurt a lot worse than what they were. So she gave us some firepower, gave us some energy, did some nice things, and that's what we need. And that's what our bench has done throughout the entire year, and it's been different people at different times, and we're pleased and happy that she was there.
Yeah, and lastly on this game, before we go ahead and go to the Carlo game, say that you're not the coach of the University of Rio Grande, and you're playing against the University of Rio Grande, and you have them down 2-3 separate times at 19 to 20 points, and they cut it just like that. I mean, how do you take that as the opposing coach whenever at any time there's no lead that's safe?
Well, I've got to believe if I'm preparing, and we stepped out of those roles, we do that many times in this program. If we are going to go against Rio, if we're coaching and preparing for a team like Rio, these are the things we'd be doing. So then we try to counter that in our preparation. But, we had that couple of, we had 6 points in the first quarter, and then in a minute and 8 seconds or 18 seconds, we scored maybe 11 or
it was like 14,
13 or 14. So we can come at you in bunches and in a hurry, and we've got to be a tough team to prepare for. And I'm sure that game against West Virginia Tech, if there's any coach out there that's trying to prepare for us, you cannot get comfortable. A 19-point lead, and again, most teams are going to just pull up the tent and just turn it in and just say we're done. There's a lot of fight in these ladies, and they just keep coming back. And the energy on the bench, even though practically the whole game, I mean, they started out on us. It was 10-0. It seemed like 11 or 12-0, and we never hung our heads and actually started fighting a little harder. And that's why we tip it off this game. You got to play the game, and you got to be focused, and you got to do all the little things. And And there's enough teams in our conference, going forward that we got to be careful and guard against that. You got to be on your A game every night.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go ahead and go to the Carlo game. It was a game where the first time in my history with playing and coaching that I ever held a team scoreless. It was 31-0 at the end of the first quarter. We went on to eventually win 109-40. Coach Markham, do you care to kind of talk about some of the keys of the game?
I thought we ran the floor very well. We pushed the ball, but kind of going with pushing the ball, I felt like we turned the ball over a little too much than what we should have. But, we got the ball to the glass. We got to the free throw line 32 times, which is our goal is 24 plus. So I felt like we did a good job there. We made 26 out of 32 for 81%, which is if we're in the 78%, we're doing pretty good. And then we out-rebounded them. I feel like coming back from losing to Tech and getting out-rebounded, we made a statement by out-rebounding Carlo 78-30, which is pretty good. You can't complain about that.
No.
Not at all. And you take from your losses the things maybe you didn't do well, and our focus during that time and the coaching staff was the rebounding, was how we defend in the post, the three-quarter deny, and that type of thing. And kudos to the coaches for drilling that in them, and kudos to our players for embellishing that and accepting, hey, we got to get a little better in those areas. And against Carlo, our bench, we talk about our bench. Our bench had 46 points against Carlo in that 109-40 lopsided win. And Coach, you mentioned the rebounding, which again, I had a couple of coaches in the league say, "Wow, glad we didn't play you after a loss." And it wasn't a demonstrative play. We ended 31-0, as Coach Bias said. Everybody got tons of minutes out of our system. Carlo made a little run in the second quarter. I think they ended up scoring 14 points in the second quarter. Mm-hmm. But we just playing, and right at this particular point in time, staying in rhythm, heading down towards the end of the season, getting ready for conference tournament. You got to stay in rhythm. You have to stay in rhythm. So I thought that was a good rebound game. Certainly doesn't mean that that we've corrected all of our problems to our next game against Brescia, and then Point Park and High Christian, and then Oakland City. We're going to have to be on our A game, but I was pleased to get that bad taste of a loss out of our mouth, and then to get that against Carlo, and then I was proud of our players for responding the way that they did, and to me that's an indicator of a true champion.
Yeah, definitely. And places that we improved that were emphasis during the week, we wanted to get more shots up. We thought, West Virginia Tech, although we did get 78, which is up there, we still felt we walked the ball down the court, which isn't our style of play. So we went from 78 shot attempts to 86. That's what we want. The rebounding, we went from getting out-rebounded and only having 36 rebounds to having 78. That's definitely a check. And then, we went from 21 assists to our 23. We wanted to get back closer to our 23, 24, 25 assists that we get. Before we go on and preview these two games, just want to kind of ramble off some stats here. Haley Jordan, 16 points, 8 rebounds. Ella Skeen, 17 points, 10 rebounds, and she also had 6 steals. We have Reagan Willingham, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Harley Antrett, 10 points, 8 rebounds, 12 minutes of action. Avery Harper, 10 points, 6 rebounds. Now, I've left one player off.
You did.
And that player recorded the second triple-double of her career as a freshman, and only the 7th in program history. So, Sydney Holden, she says she's coming for you. She's trying to get the 4 triple-doubles. She had 13 points. She had 10 assists and 12 rebounds, and that player is Kaylee Darnell. Can you talk about what Kaylee Darnell does for us?
Kaylee Darnell, just again, statistically a quiet player until you look at the stats at the end of the game. Throughout the game, she's just unselfish. She works hard, plays hard. She handles the ball, gets it to the glass. She passes the basketball. She rebounds the basketball. Just the consummate player. And again, and she did this triple-double in 23 minutes of PT, baby. playing time. So that, to me, that's remarkable. That's a remarkable feat to do that. And she's been kind of quiet since her first triple-double, but always given us the energy and the help that we need. Some nights she may have 5-6 assists or several steals, a lot of rebounds. Her point scoring had been down a little bit, but she's back. She's where she needs to be, and what a great time for that to start developing. And then along that statistic with the triple-double, Kaylee Darnell, second triple-double of her freshman year, and we're so proud of that. Ella Skeens was, what, four steals away from a triple-double.
That'd have been a unique triple-double.
Oh, my. So we're pretty fortunate to have players that have that ability to do that night in and night out. And then you throw a Haley Jordan in there, who's also been close to triple doubles, and then the bench, and it was good to, Reagan Willingham had a back-to-back games where she scored double figures. So right now things are kind of moving in the right direction, and we just got to stay focused and keep it going.
So with that, we're going to preview our 2 games coming up with the viewers that have stuck around with us. We may talk a little too much. So Coach Markham, can you kind of talk about our game plan, what we expect to have with Brescia this evening?
So Brescia, they are, to me, they are a bulldog team. I mean, they're not going to give up. They come in, they put their head down, and they just go. They don't care what record you have. They're going to give you everything they got. Our game plan is get it to the glass. We need to get there 24 plus times. That every game plan should be getting to the free throw line at least 24 plus times. Out rebounding them. We have to dominate the boards. As big as we are, we have to dominate the boards. This team, they're going to come in, they're going to drive. That's what they like to do. So we have to sit down, guard them, and make sure that we're building walls. Building walls meaning double teaming and helping out in that situation. Know who the shooters are. If they have a few that are 40% plus at the 3-point line, which is pretty good. So we have to make sure that we stay home on them. Our goals is to work on the things that we need to work on as a whole to help us for the conference tournament and the national tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And Coach Smalley, after Brescia, we have Point Park coming up this weekend, a Saturday trip to Pittsburgh. Can you kind of tell us what we can expect against Point Park?
Well, we can expect Point Park. It's going to be a battle. Every time we go to Point Park, we get their best. We're playing at Tri-C Allegheny Community College floor, which they're not allowing our fans in, but their fans are allowed to come in. What's up with that? I've got some issues with that. But again, we're going up to Pittsburgh. We're going to go up tomorrow, Friday night, get in the hotel and get comfortable, because this is a pivotal game for us. Coach Grenick, they normally do a great job when it comes to preparing for us. They'll do the 5 in, 5 out, which it's unique. It doesn't happen a lot, but they have that tendency to do that. And I guarantee you, it's going to be a physical game. We're not going to get any love from the officiating up in that area. I know that going into it. So we gotta be focused and have our A game and be ready for a very, very tough Point Park on Saturday. Then we finish out on with Ohio Christian, which a statistic Coach Bice likes to bring up. The last 5 times we played Ohio Christian, whether it's at home or up there, we've always been down at halftime. So they're going to give us their best shot. And then we have Oakland City coming in here, who's a very athletic team, on the 17th. So looking forward to the wrap up here down the stretch. And we got faith and confidence in our players. We're all kind of clicking right now and hitting on all cylinders, and just looking to finish this thing out 28-2, and then figure out what's going to happen in the tournament.
Yeah, so, and we'll have a talk show next week, and we'll preview the Ohio Christian and Oakland City game and review our weekend trip and our game today. Then after that, we'll also have the wrap up of the River States Conference tournament, and then hopefully we'll even have a couple more in there between that and the national tournament, if everything goes the way that we plan it to go. So as we look at it right now, currently we have a 12-1 record in conference. IU East is in second in the East with 10-3 record. West Virginia Tech has a 9-5 record, and then Point Park has a 6-7. So there's still a little bit of juggling going on with that. On the other side, you have Midway, who's 11-2. You have Alice Lloyd, who's 9-5. Oakland City, that's 8-5. And then you have two people down at the bottom that are kind of fighting for that last four spot in St. Mary's of the Woods, who's 5-7, and then Kokomo, who's 6-9. So there's still a lot of basketball left, even though there's only 4 games. Some only have 3 games in conference left. I mean, there's a lot of River State's conference basketball left to play, and I don't expect anything less than some superb performances from some teams that maybe people aren't expecting. And let's hope that don't come tonight.
Exactly.
So until next week, hopefully we get us some more wins. We have 2 games before our next show. So again, we're 24-2. Hopefully when we meet back here, we're 26-2, looking to close out our regular season. So we appreciate all the support. Again, come out tonight and support us. Saturday, Point Park's not allowing any fans. That's 2 thumbs down, probably from all the coaches. But we'll be thinking of you all while we're up there, and just everybody tune in and watch it. We really, really love our fan base and think that we have one of the best support systems around. So come out tonight, and hopefully we'll put a good performance together for you, and we'll see you next week.
Peace out.